Have you done any A/B testing against AI?
All the time. If you took all that and trained a person to do it, you'd have a much higher success rate.
Can you talk about maybe each segment, specifically what you've seen work well?
Maybe 75% of our clients are law firms.
Your site right now, does it have any kind of movement?
Good question.
Is there anything else that you're kind of seeing in the future of live chat?
As it gets better, it'll become more and more. And like anything, the more swings at the bat you get, the more home runs you hit.
What's most topical to you of kind of all the new changes in the space?
I love the chatbot space because
Howdy, Matt Bertram here. I have a podcast for you today that before we get into it, I just wanted to kind of tee up a few things that maybe we missed in the conversation that we had a great post conversation about. And also let you know that this was a longtime listener that works in the chatbot space. And I was really asking more questions to kind of process it live. It maybe turned into a little bit of a debate. I think it ended really nicely. And we had a lot of positive conversation after the fact. We all know AI is coming. And we are starting to leverage a lot of AI. I think that, AI is never going to replace humans. And I think that there's a lot of great value in this podcast. Some of the things I want to highlight is if you're going to be using a live chat service, one of the key components to look for is 1,000 visitors a month or $2,000 in spend. So that kind of equates to the same. And then an LTV, lifetime value of the customer of about $1,000. So if the lifetime value is about $1,000 and you have 1,000 visitors to your site and you're spending $2,000 a month, a chatbot is a great candidate for you. One of the things that we also talked about in the podcast, because as you know, I've been a heavy proponent of SEO. What I'm seeing in the data now is more of a broader marketing funnel. He would rather have a hot lead that comes in through PPC, and he believes they perform a lot better. And if you were a little birdie on the wall, you would if you like this podcast, you would really like the debate where, he was talking about an organic visitor versus a paid visitor. I think what he was talking about was the paid visitor is searching for a specific keyword, right? And they click on that ad based upon, the meta description would be the equivalent of the ad to the landing page, to the website. I believe that a high quality SEO lead that you're ranking for the right quality keywords will give you equal to or better type of client. And I've seen that with a lot of our clients. The feedback that I've gotten is SEO produces a higher quality lead than paid ads. And so if you're comparing organic to paid, it's like apples to oranges. But if you're comparing high growth organic to paid, I haven't done that study, or I know people have. If you've done that study, please reach out to me and let me know more. I hope you all enjoy the podcast. Howdy, welcome back to another fun-filled episode of the Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing. My name is Matt Bertram. I wanted to start the conversation by talking about some of the new updates with Google, okay? I know that human interaction is important. We're gonna talk about chatbots, everyone. We're gonna talk about, chatbots versus human interaction and why connecting with somebody early on is so important. So I decided to bring Ted DeBettencourt on, who has Juvo Leads, who actually runs a human-powered chatbot service across multiple mediums. And I wanted him to talk about kind of what he's seen in the space. So Ted, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, Matt, thanks for having me on. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So what's most topical to you of kind of like all the new changes in the space? Because everything's moving so quickly.
Sure. Well, I love the chatbot space because we don't do chatbots. We do chatbots. Our motto is butts in the seat, not bots in the cloud. So as more AI comes out and there's more AI solutions out there, I love it because right now, none of them are as effective in humans as being able to convert a website visitor into a lead. There's a lot of solutions out there. And for the clientele that we serve, we can outperform the best of them by capturing at least 200% more leads. And we know this because we're doing probably like right now with about 30 to 40 A/B split tests, testing against ourselves, different tags and different ways we open chats versus testing the competitors. And right now, the AI powered chat, you can tell it's a robot pretty quick. Whereas when you're chatting with us, you can tell it's a human pretty quick. And that human connection really brings a meaningful difference in the amount of leads we're able to capture for our clients.
So how did you get into this space? Like, I just want to know what kind of drives you.
Sure. Well, I was a digital marketer. I ran an SEO, PPC shop in Boston, did it for about 8, 9 years. I had a fairly good stable base of clients. And then I started using the different chat products in the market. The AI chat, this was before AI, but the bots, they were really just if-then statements. The bots, the human-powered ones, and the self-answering ones. And when I used the ones that had other people answering it, and they were 24/7, 365, I really liked it because they got my clients a lot more leads. At the time, I was working with a lot of law firms, home service businesses, elective medicine, think cosmetic dermatology, stuff like that, dentists, and then retirement homes. So those were kind of the verticals I was serving. And I really liked what they were doing for chat, but I didn't like how they were answering some of the chats. So I was using all the ones that were on the market at the time, and most of them are still around. And I kept saying, hey guys, can you make some changes to the scripts? Like say things a little bit differently, use the language I'm giving you. And they said, sure, Ted, we'll make those changes. And lo and behold, they didn't. So I got kind of frustrated and kept saying, hey, come on, guys, you gotta make this change. Because my clients were yelling at me, they're like, Ted, they're saying the wrong things. Like, I know you like it, but come on. And the numbers were good, but I was getting enough heat from my clients. So I said, all right, forget this. I'm gonna fire them and answer chats myself. And I realized when I did it myself, I get my businesses a lot more leads. So it started as me answering chats for 10 businesses in Boston, has now turned into us as a company answering chats for about 1,100 businesses around the country.
Okay. Wow. Impressive. So when people are talking, let's back up. Okay. Let's back all the way up to one of the big kind of data points that I see is you have to hit people when they're in the mode to buy, right? Like, and if they fill out information, okay, you try to get them on a meeting or whatever, but until they're ready to come back into that buy cycle, they're not a prospect, right? They're doing other stuff. They're here or there. And what it does is it lengthens the sales cycle, right? To close the deal. If you can get somebody early on and you can move them further down your sales funnel. So can you speak to that kind of concept specifically of how you view it?
Well, I'll tell you, we don't serve every vertical. We don't touch B2B. If you're a B2B business, human powered chat, like a service that you're hiring somebody else for, might not be a great fit. Here's why. People come to a B2B website and they say, tell me about, they come to your site, Matt. Tell me about how you do SEO and why PPC or, why I should do LSA ads or something like that. We'd say, that's a great question for Matt. I'd love to set you up with a time to talk to him. They say, no, I just want my question answered now. So we don't serve every vertical. We're very big in the legal space, the home services, retirement homes, and what's the last one? Elective medicine. That's kind of the verticals we serve. So I don't really know much outside of that. When we try B2B, it's hit or miss. So on the verticals that we serve, what we find is it's not people coming to the site and saying, hey, I want to get a free consultation. I want to set up an appointment. I want to learn about moving in. It's people coming to the website and saying, hey, I have a question. I think your business might be able to help me solve it. Can I give you more information and you tell me the answer? So not all of our leads are starting off saying like, hey, I want to be a lead. They're starting off with a question. We're giving them a little bit of information, qualifying that person, and then turning their information, once we've built a little bit of trust and rapport with them through having a person-to-person communication, then we're able to turn that into an actual lead for the business. And what we see is that when businesses put us on a website, they get at least 50% more leads. And we know this because we do a lot of A/B testing. Half the traffic with chat, half the traffic without chat. After 30 days, we give everyone a free trial. After 30 days, we just sit down with the business owner. Did you get more leads? How many did you get last month? How many did you get this month? If the answer isn't yes, they walk away and they've paid $0.
Okay. So have you done any A/B testing against AI?
All the time.
Okay. Can you share some of the results of kind of how you set up the study and then what you did and what the results were?
Sure. So there's not a lot of great AI in the market for what we're doing, human powered chat for law firms, elective medicine, retirement homes, and home services. The ones we have what we do is we do a split test. So how that works is someone comes to the website, half the time they see us, half the time they see the AI chat. After 30 days, we sit down with the client and look at the data. We say, who got you more leads? Who got you more cases, jobs, move-ins, appointments? And then anytime we don't win, I've never not beaten an AI chat by getting a business at least 200% more leads. Again, I'm not serving B2B. I know AI and like using like the drifts and what's the other one? The drifts and the versions of that is great for B2B.
Intercom. Yeah.
Intercom. Yeah.
So I can tell you, if you build a library of information and someone asks a question, okay, and you get like AI agent is semi-autonomous AI to answer that. If you've trained it, it can actually answer those questions pretty effectively. Now
Of course.
it can't say SEO very well, okay, but we actually have, if you call us, you'll get to the right person. We can answer questions. It's all AI and it's learned and it's trained, and there's a lot of services out there, and you can use that. And I think it's been pretty effective. And certainly, like,
It's
I would
cost
like to say,
effective for sure. If you took all that and trained a person to do it, you'd have a much higher success rate, because people don't like talking to AI yet. If people call the phone or chat, if they find out, our most common question nowadays is, are you a robot or a real person? We say real person, and they do that. When we don't do a good job convincing them, they just get frustrated and leave. We've looked into the phone answering side. We like it, but for our verticals where a case is worth, thousands and thousands of dollars, saving a little bit of money using AI isn't worth it if you have 50% less leads.
no, I certainly agree with you in certain skill sets or certain industries, right? So certainly retirement communities, people are a little unsure, maybe like, no, I wouldn't say they're the Luddites, but like they're unsure about technology. They want to talk to a person. I think that some of the people outsourcing call answering services to overseas is kind of, without great training, people have their own impressions of that. I do agree with like lawyers or things like that, depending on the case size, what it's going to be. Like, it depends what you're using it for. And I think that
Yeah,
there's a place for everything. I also think
exactly.
that there's a way to escalate things. And so, like, you have a decision tree of
Yep.
coming in, asking a question. And so the voices in AI, and again, like, I don't want to necessarily make this into a debate, because I think that having ways to connect with people and answer their questions effectively
Mhm.
is what it's about, and catching somebody in that bicycle. And certainly the reason that I wanted to connect with you is these things are becoming a reality. Let's talk about the Google. Let's talk about the Google Business Profile update, right?
Yeah.
Where now there's a chat function associated with that, and it makes a lot of sense to be able to connect with the real person and get something moving is incredibly important today.
Yeah.
Again, if you're catching that person that is in the bicycle and they're trying to make a decision, if you can't answer their question and move there, again, going back to what you were saying though on the training the person, well, people want to be able to answer their question, and I can see on the B2B side. But again, if I think this through, you can upload into the library like a whole website,
Mhm.
okay, with the AI. And anything that's on the website, if they've done a good job through their web development side of things, you can pull any of that information. So you have a large website, a hospital system, a retirement community, any of
I agree.
those, that AI is going to be able to answer that question more than a human. Now, the component of it is also not there when you're in chat unless it's voice activated. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
So
discover this, and
let me say it a different way. If you
yeah.
think of chat, if you have a complex subject, so a lot of our clients do, let's say they're doing mass torts. So it's a law firm that helps people if they've have some respiratory illness. I know Camp Lejeune was a big one for a while. So there's a lot of caveats to what makes for a good Camp Lejeune case. They'll come to there and they want to find out if I have a case or not. When you use a robot to answer those, you can always get the right answer, right? Or, you have a better job training that robot to know the different answers to questions because you've seen all the questions and you have it. Whereas, you can upload thousands of FAQs, whereas we don't have that ability to answer that many questions. So if you think about it like that, robots, AI will do a better job there. If you're talking about the sales component, which is converting a question into a lead, right now, humans significantly outperform AI. When it gets to the point where the pendulum switches, we'll be the first ones on the AI train. But right now, what we see is when people are having conversations, they want to talk to a person and have an empathetic one-on-one conversation. Our data suggests, and why it grew at least 100% for the past 4 years. What our data suggests is that by having real people and having empathetic conversations, we're not getting the, oh, I just want to talk to a person like a lot of our AI counterparts get. So as of for now, we're noticing and we're able to convert a lot more leads from a website. Are we able to have the amount of in-depth conversations and can we answer 500 FAQs like an AI can? Absolutely not. So I still love chat support with AI. I think you can do things that are incredible with it.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see that.
That's our big
Now,
difference.
now, the way I'm starting to kind of process it in my head is that, when you look at ads on Google and you look at SEO,
Yep.
okay, only about 20% of people click on ads. If you do a study and ask even people, not a lot of people click on both. So they either skip the ads, and that's why Google tries to hide the way the ads look, right? They're
Yeah.
always trying to change it up, and people just keep skipping the ads. But the ads has produced them like one of the largest companies in the world, and like it's the majority of all their revenue. And so, ads are effective. I believe in getting in front of people and getting your advertising and your brand out there. But the more in-depth stuff is answered through the research and the questions and stuff like that. And so I see that differential, and I see specific industries, certain things working better than others, vice versa. Like, okay, you need a plumber like immediately, right? Like there's a busted pipe or your air conditioning's out, it's in the summer. Like you need somebody right now, you're not going to do the research, right? So that, if I take that kind of like 80-20, I can see that in the human side of things. And I would tell you, I'm not going to say which one's the 80 and which one's the 20 because I don't know. I don't have enough data like that. You're the expert in that. But I do see in certain industries specifically when you're dealing with, when you need to define what your target audience is, who your targeting audience is, like the older generation want to talk to somebody. The younger generation, depending on what you're selling, you don't want to talk to anybody. Like you want to order pizza, you don't want to talk to anybody. Like people, right? Like
I completely agree.
So like you're ordering food, like you're like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Like I just want to get what I'm looking for. I want to get the answer to my question. We used to do like disc profiles, like different type of people. Certain people like to chat, Now, again, I do think that the curve is exponential because I can tell you from a sales standpoint, some of the trained AIs, right? So you're training them not just like kind of like what the base feed is like, and also capturing the data like a Tesla car, right? So you're capturing all the data of how to answer it better. I had a previous guest on, and we've actually implemented this on all our sales calls. How could we have done better? Like,
Smart.
how do we improve that? And then eventually with enough data of how we want to process, it's going to learn that and it's going to be able to do that better. And I think it's going to be able to do it pretty quick.
That's
and
awesome.
so, I think that there's definitely people, and I would fall into this category too, of like, I don't want to talk to a call center overseas necessarily. I want someone that understands what I'm talking about and what I'm saying and what I'm doing. Let's dig into the industries where you're seeing the biggest success and where you've grown the business the most. Let's talk about case studies in those areas, because there's a lot of people from a lot of different industries that listen to this. They're trying to figure out how to make their digital marketing work. And so I agree that you need to capture their information early. If you can engage them early, move them further down the sales process.
Do you build it? It sounds like I'm kind of conflicting with you. It sounds like you build AI bots for your clients. Is that right?
I have not ever built an AI bot for any of the clients. No, I'm not. I'm not in the AI bot space. That's something that
I think it's cool technology for sure.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm asking. I mean, like certainly having a live chat is a huge component to answer questions, but if it's to set up just a call and they're vetting somebody on how to do it, I have used a lot of different tools, and I'm just sharing with you my experience of like, if you're asking qualifying questions, you're being empathetic, like, you're answering a few questions, 80% of the time that works. I think that what you're doing can work extremely effective when you have the right target audience. So that's why I want to dive into what are those target audiences. And yes, the AI bot can upset people, just like answering stuff overseas. Like if people don't like that or they're not trained good, like they just bail, right?
Yeah,
and I absolutely see that in a decent sized segment. And so I want to tell you, yes, that I agree with you in that. And so let's double down on that and go into those areas where you've grown the most and seen the biggest success. Like, let's maybe talk about some different specific case studies that you've done in, the retirement community space or the law firms. Tell me about home services. I know it looks like you do digital agencies and local businesses. Like, can you talk about maybe each segment, specifically what you've seen work well?
Sure. So let me tell you about probably about 65% of our, maybe 75% of our clients are law firms. So we do
Okay.
consumer side law firms, and the biggest consumer side law firm in the digital marketing space is called Personal Injury. That means, car accident lawyer, someone that's been
Work
slip
in
and
the
fall.
space. Yep. Yep.
Yep, those type of claims. So in that market, the personal injury space, the top 3,000 PI spaces in the market, 85% of them use human powered chat. So it's not, we don't have 85% of the PI market, I'm sad to say, but so it's not just us. There's a lot of companies doing what we're doing. So in those spaces, they use human powered chat. It costs more money to use people than AI. And it frankly does. Like, there's no way around it. It's just a robot versus, the AI costs aren't that high. People costs are higher, training a team, keep them updated on the chat scripts, the rules for each particular firm, that gets pretty complex. But why that industry in particular has adopted human powered chat is because they have a lot of good marketing people that measure the results. So for example, when we went live with a firm, let's say the name's firm name out in Illinois, Pialetti Law, what we did is they said, Ted, I like the idea of chat. This is a guy named Joe Pialetti. Ted, I like the idea of chat, but I don't think it's going to get me more leads. I said, Joe, what do you mean? He said, Ted, I think you're going to steal my phone calls. So what do you mean by that? He's like, well, if someone comes to my site and they would text or chat with you, they probably just would have called you. I'm like, oh, I see what you're saying. So you're thinking that we're not going to get you more leads. We're just going to take away your phone calls. He said, yeah. I said, all right, well, let's test that hypothesis. So what we did for Joe, and we do it for literally every client we work with, is we give them a 30-day split, a 30-day trial. So you typically just give them it free for 30 days and say how many leads you get before, how many leads you get after. But what we did for Joe is we split all his traffic into two groups. Group A had chat on, Group B had chat off. We also can do call and form tracking, so we can really isolate chat as a variable. So we did that for, and I talk about this story a lot. We did that test for 30 days, and after the 30-day free trial, the group with chat on had 159 leads. The group with chat off had 103. So we're able to conclusively prove that because of chat and chat alone, we got them about, 55, 60% more total leads because of chat. I'm fuzzy on the numbers. I'm used to, looking at a slide deck when I talk about this.
No, this is the kind of information that I'm looking for to understand, like, data-driven marketing. I love that. Now, I'm looking at your site right now. Does it have any kind of movement? Does it pop up, or people are raising their hand and they're choosing to engage? Is that correct?
Good question. And really, how you start chat varies. We have 1.5 million configuration options that's best for that business. But what we found is the two main ways you do it. You either play a video of the business owner to start the conversation, build empathy, get the brand name for the business owner out there, and then using that, start a conversation, short video, 10, 20 seconds, saying who you are, how you help your clients. And then from there, Amy pops up, or Sally or Steve or Jay, and we have a real conversation with them. There's different pop-outs and different layouts, configurations we do, but we don't like to wait for we call it reactive chat. If you have a reactive chat, meaning someone has to click to start versus something happening. So we either play a video or we pop up and say, hey, how can I help you today? By having that proactive talk, you're able to have a much higher chat start rate. And like anything, the more swings at the bat you get, the more home runs you hit.
Yeah, I mean, I can see, like, in the affiliate marketing space, as we moved into that with like different kind of products and stuff like that. We have a supplement company, and essentially what I can tell you is most people just start bidding on your own name, right? And the conversion rate, and also a lot of agencies, the bigger agencies that kind of obscure what's going on, and they're running, one account manager's running 80, 100 something accounts. Like, I mean, they're trying to hit certain metrics and they're making it look like a certain way. And this has been my opinion. This is just my personal experience that I'm speaking to when clients come to us. And when we, try to get access to the data, certain things look really good. And so I can see how a law firm would say, hey, you're just swapping, Rob Peter to pay Paul here. It's just a different format. I would agree with you, because different people like to engage different ways. Like I talked about that kind of disc profile. Some people want to talk to somebody on the phone. Some people want the old school call the 1-800 numbers, right? Like, that's kind of like, some people want to watch a video. Some people want to chat. Like, I can tell you, I don't text anymore like I video chat or I, do a recorded video where I'm talking, like I don't like typing anymore. Like I've just decided I don't like to do it. Like, will I do it? Sure, if that's the only option. But like you're trying to reduce friction. And I
Yeah.
agree with you that no matter what you're doing, you're trying to hit somebody in the right sense, and you're trying to reduce that friction as quickly as you can. Okay. So I agree with you on law firms. Why do you think that happened that way? Right? Why do you what you have enough of these businesses, you've scaled it, you have good data. Why is that chatbot working better than, like, I mean, a lot of people run the chatbots to, if they're a smaller business, because you deal with local businesses, they'll just run it to themselves or someone marketing on their team. Like, what's the differential if someone is going, hey, okay, I'm going to weigh the AI chatbots. What's the comparison versus like in-house?
Sure. Just can you so what's the difference between an AI chatbot versus doing it in-house?
No. Like, so we don't need to go down the rabbit hole of like a live person versus the chatbot.
Yeah.
Now I'm talking about, if we're talking about law firms or we're talking about bigger companies, they might have somebody dedicated that's answering the phone. Why don't they have that person answering the chatbot as well? Or like, what are the
Yeah.
scenarios where that would work?
Sure. So the analysis I said about the law firms, that's true for any big home service business as well. I'm not talking about the pest control where, you get a contract, it's maybe $300 a year, but the roofing job, the plastic surgeon, the cosmetic dermatology, the retirement home. When a sale or lead is worth north of $1,000, the economics of human powered chat pay off. And so why shouldn't they do it in-house? Well, if they can do it in-house, they should. There are a few in my space. There are a few businesses that do it in-house. Morgan & Morgan, they have their own human powered chat team. The reason why most firms, even the ones that have, 200 lawyers as opposed to 300, if you have 200 lawyers and you have 24/7 coverage, so you can answer every chat in 12 seconds or less, then you should do it in-house. The hard thing about chat is if a chat comes in and my team waits 20 seconds to answer it, I've lost 40% of the chats. You have to answer chats in 12 seconds or less, or you lose the chatter. So when that firm with 12 lawyers and 5 intake specialists say, hey, we're going to do this ourselves. Sarah, Michael, and Jim are going to answer chats 24 for us during the day. You try it at night. We say, okay, give it your best shot. If you don't like the results you're seeing, try us. So what happens is Mike takes a smoke break. Sarah goes on lunch. Julie's on holiday.
They're busy doing other stuff. They're busy running the business. They're doing other things. Yeah. Someone needs to be dedicated to doing this.
And it's just that 12 seconds. The rule, when I tell people the 20-second rule, no one believes me. And then they start answering their chats and they're like, oh, I can't believe I lost this chat. The amount of lost chats you get when you try to do it in-house is astronomical. What we do is we literally grade and score every chat by how fast their team answers it. So our agents are hired, fired, promoted, demoted, and bonused based on how well and how fast they answer chats. And it has to be fast or we get fired.
I like that. So basically there's on one end doing it yourself. On the other end, there's AI. You're operating in that middle. Certainly right now, increasing the response rates, right? Increases sales. Absolutely.
Speedily, baby.
Be able to understand the nuances where AI is going to get tripped up. In-house, they may be able to answer it better, or your team might not have all the information. But if they're not getting that person on the hook and not dedicated to that conversation, they're not going to answer it very well. So I'm starting to think that, AI support powered human is probably like the best route to go. Again, when you're talking about high powered or leads that are worth a lot, right?
If you can find, a lot of the people in my space are trying to do the AI and then having a human take over. And that's what we're seeing a lot of the competition doing. We don't touch AI yet on that front yet because we're dedicated to our butts, not bots. And we know there are legal implications when you start getting personal information via AI that a lot of our clients don't want to deal with. So if you're getting personal health information from a chatbot, you're opening the door to legal implications. So you got to be careful in a lot of the verticals we're in. So, law, elective medicine, retirement homes, that's sensitive information. Do we want to give that data to ChatGPT? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these companies are basically carving it off, so where they can use the code, but they're using it in house, and I think that that's a consideration. Can you speak any more to the your money, your life kind of areas where that information's sensitive and people need to be critically thinking or double thinking about how they approach that, right?
So what say that again?
So what are these legal implications? Like if someone's out there like trying to consider these things, like, they definitely don't need to be just a lot of these companies, I think it depends what they're doing. You got to look at their terms of service, but where that information is being fed to, because there are a lot of these chatbots that are just bolt-ons or AI agents of ChatGPT, and that information flows up. So like how comfortable are you with talking about like some of the specifics of the legal.
Well, I'm not a lawyer. I have a law degree and I don't want to give legal advice. I know if I pretend to give legal advice, that opens
There you
up the
go.
door.
Yeah.
But
See,
I'll
that's
say
where.
this, there are law firms that are getting sued from using AI wrongfully. What it is basically right now are there are people that find out. So for example, one of the biggest firms in the world used an AI to write a brief and they didn't check it. The AI used a lot of fake cases that didn't exist because they call phantom answers. They gave a bunch of phantom answers. The person submitted that. The person that was for that firm found out there was a small lawsuit, but they turned around and sued that law firm for using their information illegally. And now they're on the hook for a big settlement. So there are ramifications for using AI. I don't know much about it. I just know there are cases out there. I know it's something my competitors have to deal with. But honestly, in the chat space for sales, I haven't, I don't bump into it that much because the businesses that I deal with are the high that like a sale is worth a lot, case is
Yeah.
worth a lot, move in. So they know that AI isn't there yet for their space. When it starts to be, it's going to become more. It's usually the smaller ticket items and the smaller websites that are looking for, the next shiny thing are the ones that are playing with it in the chat side. There's plenty of good use cases for AI, but I haven't seen a competitor come out and say, Ted, we can get as many leads as you. Like I haven't seen anything close yet.
Yeah. No, I think that there's some delicate areas for sure, and there's a pause. People need to take pause to consider all those ramifications of how that's built out. I mean, is there anything else that you're kind of seeing in the future of live chat and trends that are coming up that you could speak to, or do you just kind of have a feeling that that's going to start happening?
Sure. Well, I mean, it's already happening. It's just as it gets better, it'll become more and more. So what will probably happen will be a hybrid approach, kind of the approach I talked about earlier, where it starts with AI, then moves to human, and then eventually you just kick human out of there eventually, fully. But we're on the cutting edge. We're paying attention to all the competitors because we want to see the minute someone can do it to the point where we're get a little bit scared, then we start adopting those practices ourselves. We haven't seen it. What we have seen is when everyone's talking about AI more, that means people are neglecting SMS. So the better you can serve your clients through talking to them with the channel that they use their phone for the most, that's SMS, the bigger advantage you'll have. So not only just answering the website chats, but being able to communicate with client via text, being able to answer them in the preferred method that their prospect reached out to them. So we're just seeing it every year. The percent of our leads for our clients that come in from text, the phone is increasing. So the better businesses like us can serve that vertical or that communication method, the better we'll all do.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree that you need to connect with people immediately. You know, talking, connecting through the phone and SMS is there. You mentioned earlier somebody now has listened to this podcast and they're like, okay, I need a solution for this, right? How should someone look for a service provider? And then what are some common mistakes when they're trying to set up the business that they might need to keep an eye out for?
If you're look for ones that we're not the only ones that give a 30-day free trial. Try it before you buy it. I get these calls from these, I get these emails from these companies that do like voice call, outbound call service. You go on their website, you can't even hear the calls, and you hear them, you're like, well, that's not there yet. It's kind of garbage. Try everyone before you buy it. Make sure their goals are aligned with yours from a pricing structure perspective. A flat rate price without knowing what you're going to get doesn't make sense. I would try to talk. There's a lot of companies that do per lead models and per qualified lead models. Talk to the vendor or the provider to make sure it's a model that fits for your business, that corresponds with your goals. If you're trying to get appointments, make sure you pay for per appointment, not just a flat rate model.
Gotcha. All right. So, What would you say, this is a newer space to a lot of people. This is something that people know that they need to be doing. They're starting to take that action. I mean, what in everything that you've learned, because you're in it and out of it every day, what's one unknown secret of internet marketing?
Talk to clients in the channel in which they want to talk to you. Don't force them into your preferred communication method just because it's easier for you. If clients want to text you, you text them back. If a client wants to call you, you call them back. If a client wants to email you, you email them back. If clients want to fill out a form, get back to them however they said they want to be contacted. Don't force prospects into communicating in a way that they're not comfortable with. Meet them where they are. And then once you have their business, then you can start your SOP, your standing operating procedure, but not before you've won their trust.
I love that. So Ted, if somebody wants to find out more about, human engaged, human powered chats and get a free trial, because I think that's awesome, how do they get in touch with you? What's your preferred method of them reaching out to you? Get on your website and chat you?
That's exactly right. Go to
Yeah.
juvoleads.com, go to the website, start a conversation, and see if you like what you see. And the main reason businesses use us is because they want at least 50% more leads. We give you the 50% more lead guarantee. If we work with you and you don't get 50% more leads, you walk away and you spend $0.
Hey, everyone, you can't beat that. So I would encourage you to go check it out. Go check out what Ted's doing. If you're looking to build some strategy with your overall marketing funnel, if you're looking to grow your business with the largest, most powerful tool on the planet, the internet, reach out to EWR Digital for more revenue in your business. We work with all kinds of vendors and vendors like Ted all the time. Until the next time, my name is Matt Bertram. Bye-bye for now.